about human resources development at the universities in the light of the recent trends. So the paper is about how to develop human resources at universities, and the
Dear Professor Safavi, can you hear Dr. Ati Abu Haris? No? Because I can't hear him. No, no voice, okay. Because there's also unstable internet connection on me. I thought perhaps it's because of me, but not, I think. Okay, he disconnected. So, second and third, not with us now. Let's proceed with our Russian guests. Dear Professor Elena, now next to you. Yes, because the second one, third is also not with us now. We don't, I don't want to lose time. Please proceed with you.
I see, but can you give a word to another person of our section and hall?
Sure.
And if Professor Filkevich will not be able to join us, he is reconnecting, then I will make my speech.
Okay, no problem. So, from Ukraine, Michaela is not with us now. The next Omar Melet Moda not with us. Now, our youngest participants from Japan, Bing. Next to you. I'm listening to you. Yeah.
I don't know how to say hi to you. This is night time in Japan. So
your smiling face is enough for us.
I'm not sure if my Wi-Fi is working well, so I pre-recorded my presentation and I'm going to share with you. And in case you cannot listen to my presentation, I'm going to send you the link. So it's going to work better. So
okay,
I'm going to share my presentation and I am here to answer your questions. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hello everybody, my name is Min and I'm going to present a study on students' dissatisfaction and their complaining behaviors. First of all, let me explain about the reasons why people complain in grade. People, especially the customers, complain because they have dissatisfaction beyond the product or service performance and delivery. The dissatisfaction is affected by several factors, such as the personality, characteristic, the details. However, the dissatisfaction is also affected by some external conditions, such as the price of service and products and the presence of friends and family members. When reviewing the literature, I realized that there are three gaps in the research about dissatisfaction. First is a lack of research on the causes of dissatisfaction. Second is a negligence of the qualities by the qualities that explaining dissatisfaction. And third is a lack of studies on students' complaining behavior. Therefore, in this study, I tried to examine students' dissatisfaction with better communication programs and tried to focus on the causes and consequences of the students' dissatisfactions. In order to achieve the purpose, I implemented several group discussions with the domestic and international students on a new program at our School of Economics and Engineering University in Europe. Last year in April, we executed a new program for global business courses. And I found that the students were mostly dissatisfied with the curriculum, the faculty members, and the students. And these three factors create the
Dear Bing, may I request something? Could you please turn off the voice of your video because we can't hear your voice clearly. And please turn off your video's voice and you now Lily read it. Is it possible for you?
I think the volume is at the maximum level, like 100%.
Yes, so you can turn off the volume, the voice of your video. It can play itself and you can now read your presentation from your own voice. Because
Oh, I think I made a mistake. So I'm going to share again. I'm sorry, this is my mistake.
No problem.
So please wait a little bit.
My name is Ben, and
Now
I'm
can you
going
hear?
to
It's okay now.
study on students' dissatisfaction and their complaining behaviors. First of all, let me explain about the reasons why people complain in brief. People, especially the customers, complain because they have dissatisfaction with the outcomes of product or service performance and delivery. The satisfaction is affected by several factors such as the personality characteristic of the individual. However, the dissatisfaction is also affected by some external conditions such as the price of service and products and the presence of friends and family members. When reviewing the literature, I realized that there are three gaps in the research about dissatisfaction. First is a lack of research on the causes of dissatisfaction. Second is a negligence of the qualitative approach or the qualitative method in examining dissatisfaction. And third is a lack of studies on students' complaining behavior. Therefore, in this study, I tried to examine students' dissatisfaction with education programs. I tried to focus on the causes and consequences of the students' dissatisfactions. In order to achieve the purpose, I implemented several group discussions with the domestic and international students of a new program at our School of Economics and Management, University of Yogo. Last year in April, we established a new program called Global Business Course. And I found that the students were mostly dissatisfied with the curriculum, with the faculty members, and with the peer students. And these three factors create the extrinsic or external group of causes of their dissatisfaction. I'm going to explain about them in details. So regarding the curriculum, since we have a new program, our curriculum is not completely and perfectly developed. Therefore, some students might find that they cannot study enough certain knowledge, such as maths or mathematics, while other students might feel that they have to take too many classes in social sciences and languages. And the second, external or extrinsic cause related to the faculty members. Although we have both foreign and Japanese faculty members, the faculty members are not familiar with teaching and delivering classes in English. Before in the first classes, they might find struggling with delivering the class content, and the students might feel disappointed. The third extrinsic cause related to the peer students. Since we are a new program, we were afraid that we could not recruit enough students. As a precautionary measure, we took in some extra students, and some of them might be weaker than the average, and the advanced students might feel unhappy or were dissatisfied with the presence of such students. However, through the discussions, I also realized that there is another group of the cause of student dissatisfaction, and this group is intrinsic or internal. Specifically, I realized that while Japanese students um, try not to complain much about the new program because they were familiar with the education system and the educational characteristics of a university in their home country. The foreign students do not, and they did have some high expectations about the programs, about the faculty members, about the peer students, and since their expectations were not met, they were dissatisfied. When the students were dissatisfied, they might talk to their family members, talk to other students, or even talk to some close faculty members. And luckily, I am one of the faculty members that can be able to listen to the stories of the students. So the findings of my discussions with the students suggest that the students in Japan are similar to students in other countries regarding their dissatisfactions with an education program. We can see the similar situation in Croatia, in China, and in the UK. Students everywhere can be dissatisfied with the program, with the curriculum, with the faculty members, and even with the other students. The cause of dissatisfaction is the gap between expectation and performance. The students may have high expectations, and the school or the faculty members cannot deliver their expectations. Therefore, the students were dissatisfied. On the other hand, the expectations of the students may be too high, too much with the actual performance of the program. Like the expectations may be too unrealistic. For example, when students choose to study in Japan on an English-based program, they should not expect a very high quality of English, and therefore they might be dissatisfied with the English ability of the faculty members here in Japan. Another cause of the dissatisfaction involved in the characteristics of the students, such as their nationality, their age, and probably their cultural backgrounds. Regarding the complaining methods, students seem to use informal methods more often than the other methods when they want to make their complaints. Students may make direct claims to the school if they think that the school will respond to their statements and their effort is not too heavy. They may complain to friends and others if the students assume that the school will respond to negative broadcasts. Uh, in addition, students who are conscious about grade may choose the direct channels, while those who are heavy social media users prefer using the web, like they post their complaints on social media sites such as Facebook, or Twitters, or Instagrams. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you have questions or comments, please kindly let me know so I can improve my study in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation, dear Professor Bean. Anyone has any question or any contribution to dear Bean?
Yes, Dr. Mustafa. This is Atiya speaking. I'm sorry about that.
Yes. You disconnected, yeah.
The connection is cut off, and I had to reconnect again. Yes, I have a question to the professor. So can I ask him?
Please.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So you said there's a gap between the student expectations and the actual performance, and you mentioned about the English programs and there. So I would like to ask you, how can we make this gap very closer? So how can we meet the expectation of the students in English programs in Japan? For example, by making lectures, native speaker lectures, to give lectures instead of Japanese lectures. I don't know if is this what's there or not, because I don't know if the lecture, by whom do the lectures given, by the Japanese or by the English native speakers? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And firstly, I'd like to say I'm very sorry for the troubles with my presentation earlier. And thank you very much for the question. I'd like to answer your question by 2 points. The first point is that the gap is reasonable, because we really cannot deliver the expectations that the student have, like the English ability of the faculty, especially the Japanese and faculty members. Then I think because the Japanese faculty members are not familiar with teaching and guiding students in English, and so after a few semesters, when they get more familiar with teaching and guiding in English, and their English gets better, then I think the class quality will get better also. However, another point is that the students may have higher expectation than they should, because Japan is not a native English speaking country, and students choose to study in Japan should expect that they can learn about doing business in Japan. They can learn about the traditions and histories of Japan, the culture of Japan, the way that Japanese people are thinking. So some realistic expectations should be told to the students before we recruit them as the official students of our program. I think these 2 points, if we can address these 2 points, then the gap between the expectation and the performance can be narrowed down.
Okay, that's good. Very good idea. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your answer.
Yeah.
Now, yes, please, dear Igor. Yeah.
Dear Bin, I want to ask you about the following. Are you realization program for education cooperation and scientific cooperation with other country in your university?
We have partnerships with other universities and colleges in Thailand, in Malaysia, and in America, and in Korea. We are sending students to colleges, partner colleges in America and Korean, and also the Philippines. We send them to take the English course, because they need to improve their English first, especially the Japanese students. And we send students to America to take some courses, and we also count the credit that they take from the partner colleges. We also send students to Korea with the same purpose, but because due to COVID-19, this year we cannot do that. So hopefully after COVID, we can continue the program.
Thank you. I hope we realization cooperation with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Now, dear Professor Ati Abu Haris, next to you as the first presenter.
Okay. I'm sorry. I have to restart again with my presentation. So the presentation today is about the human resources development at the universities in the light of the recent trends. The paper is about how to develop human resources at universities, and mainly we mean lectures at universities. So how can we develop the way or the methods that used for giving lectures? How can we make our lectures be up to date, to be aware about the new technology and to be aware of the new trends which can be used to improve lectures at universities. And the paper focused about various factors which can be used to improve or to develop the university human resources. So the first thing is to pay more attention to scientific researches. So to have a department called Research and Development, R&D, Research and Development. Research and Development, I think, became very important. So this will enhance the lecturers and the students to work together in researches, and to build the confidence in lecturers and the students to write researches about the problems which the country suffer from. So they have quite many problems, and these problems should be solved by research at universities. So this is one thing. The other thing is to concentrate on what we call on-job continuous training. What we mean by on-job continuous training is to train lecturers, during the job. So if we have a lecture assistant, for example, the lecture assistant should be with the lecturer in class, and they should practically should start, teaching, and then the assistant lecturer will get the feedback from the audience, from the students themselves, and from the lecturer or the professor, who are the main professor who gives the lectures, and this way can improve the lecture assistant way of giving lectures at universities. The second thing is to encourage the developmental and research projects, taking projects, obtaining projects from the government. So obtaining projects from the government. So the government should be a cooperation between the university and the governments to solve all the problems and to make all the studies about the researchers. So instead of employing an agent, a local agent or a foreign agent. So this should be given to universities. Like, for example, I work at the Academy of Postgraduate Study, the Libyan Academy of Postgraduate Study. So we are specialized in research. So we take students, master students and PhD students. And unfortunately, we don't have the Research and Development Center, Research and Development Department in our academy. And I've been suggested, I suggested this before, but they didn't implement it yet. Okay. The other thing is to enhancing confidence in the university scientific researches and supporting them morally and financially. Holding symposia. Symposia is very important. So how to improve the awareness and knowledge of the staff members at universities. How can we make them up to date? By holding or organizing symposia, conferences like the conferences now we are making. This also can enhance the level of knowledge and awareness about what's going on in the whole world. Also meeting, workshops, and etc. So all of these methods can be a way of improving or developing the human resource at universities. So also communications with outside world is very important. So to host conferences is important, and to send our staff to conferences abroad is important. So this is how can you can improve the way of teaching, and instead of using the way classical way of teaching can be improved. For example, we can concentrate on practical more than theory. Like, for example, students, they get more aware of how to analyze the situation of the cases, at universities. So this is what about the paper. So I only give you a brief explanation about this paper. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Professor Atiya Abu Haris. Dear participants, anyone has any question or any opinion, contribution?
I know we study problem of tourism. Where are the prospects for the development of education tourism in Libya?
Okay, tourism in Libya. Yes, you mean that they don't pay more attention to tourism? Yes, we have in our universities, we have tourism departments. And the place I work for, the Libyan Academy for Postgraduate Study, we have tourism and hospitality department. We have it. But unfortunately, we're only focusing on tourism, We're only focusing on theoretical, we don't focus on practical. So for example, like to graduate students specialized in hotels, for example, you need to concentrate on practical. You need to concentrate at least 50% practical, 50% theory to make students aware and to improve the way of how students should perform their tasks at hotels, because hotels depends mostly on practical more than theoretical. So this is the way. But now, like I'm giving example, for example, at our university, before a long time ago, 10 years ago, we don't have departments at universities for tourism, unfortunately. But since 10 years ago, we started to have at university. So each university in Libya, they have a department for tourism. But that tourism is not developed yet. Tourism, especially nowadays, because Libya is going through a very difficult situation, because international tourists cannot come to Libya because of the problem of safety and security and other aspects. And before the 2011, we received a number of tourists, but it's a small number of tourists compared to tourism countries, compared to neighboring countries. It's not that big, But yes, we started and we start to have an experience about international tourists, what they need and what they want, and what we should provide, what kind of services we should provide for them. You know, however, Libya is rich of human resource, rich of tourism resources. So tourism resources is really huge in Libya. So our tourism resources are diversifying. So we are not depending only on a specific tourism resource. We have a variety of tourism resources, which is good. But because of oil, you know, oil factor, because Libya is depending on oil factor, and about only, you know, I think is about 80% of the Libyan incomes comes from oil. So this is one reason, and this is the essential reason that why Libya did not pay big attention to tourism. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Dear Professor Atia Abu Haris, I would like to share our own experience with you in connection with research and development in the university.
Yes.
We work with Professor Filkevich in Moscow State Pedagogical University, and we teach financial managers, HR managers, and we organize within our university every year two international conferences. And we ask the students to prepare their papers together with the professors of the university. And then we also very attentively look at the different proposals from Moscow city or all over Russia when they organize some conferences or Olympiads for Olympic things for students, and we promote them and help them to participate actively. When there were no COVID, they participated physically, but now they participate online. So these are good examples for research and development.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. We are looking for something like this. We are looking for something like this. Okay, that's good. So if you give me your contact number, so we can communicate together, okay? And we can do something together. Yeah, we have students are interested in you know, in research, and they have proposals and they want to do it actually, and we will do it physically, as you said, or real after COVID-19, and now we can do it online, no problem. So please send me your connection or communication.
Yeah, I can send in the chat of this.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Okay, I will take it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, good.
Thank you very much. Now, our next presentation by dear Professor Igor, will you present it?
Yes, I have possibility realizations this, but I have my microphone in computer is don't work, and I use two sphere. Okay. Demonstration. Okay. Так. Окей. Dear colleagues, I am pleased to make a presentation at this international forum. I would like to point out that the Asia Pacific regions is one of the most dynamic regions in the global economy. Topic our presentations is protections for energy cooperation in the Asia Pacific regions with the participation of the Russian Federation. ASEAN studies show the countries of the Asia-Pacific regions are characterized by the implementation of the integration using the Russian Federation. The growth demand of energy resources in the Asia-Pacific region is concentrated with the following factors: rapid economic growth, development of energy-intensive industry, development of the transport and IT technologies, population growth, and social demands. The energy section can act as the main region international of economics of Russia with the country of Asia. Other countries feel the need to increase the supply of energy resources. In their turn, Russian assure development of Eastern Siberia and Far East territories. Integration is based on project for the development of interstate electrical connection. I would like to note that all countries in the region have their own view of energy integration. This is the presentation Russian position on this slide. Position South Korean, Japanese, and other countries is difficult, and they have some question. Так, что-то у меня. The table show priority for the organization of the in-state electric connection between Russian and ASEAN countries until 2030. This will be realization 5 projects with China, 3 projects with Korea, and 2 projects with Japan. Principle for green energy are implemented as part of the GOBITS project and show on the slide. This project, if you see, want green energy for China, Korea, and Japan. Impossible in Russian also. Energy integration of East Asian countries and Russian will alone. An effective form of cooperation from Russian sides is provide system service to lower and whenever energy output of renewable energy resources for China, Japan, North and South Korea, and Mongolia. The development of a regional interstate electric power association is promotion with Russian participation is the creation of energy integration of other East Asian countries. The project effectively will increase by 30 or 40%. Thank you very much. Your question, please.
Thank you very much. Any question or any contribution? No, I think, yeah, Virbin, please.
I heard that you said there is a connection between Russia and Japan regarding the energy exportation. I'm living in Japan, but I'm not sure. I don't know much about that connection or the agreement between Russia and Japan regarding energy. So could you please give me some explanations or some details?
Thank you for your question. I want to say the very important this project for South Korea and Japan in the first time, because this need more energy, and South Korea and Russian Federation organization research for this problem in 2014 years. What results this investigation? Electricity for Russian is complete in Japanese electricity market in the phase restriction of the operation of nuclear power plants after the Fusiyama nuclear power plant. Dissipate expensive local power plant for the energy balance. And Russian energy more slow point than realization project in Japan energy and South Korea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And dear Professor Igor, I think the Russia is another partner of electricity supplier,
Okay.
North Korea, because North Korea, as the biggest supplier is China, the second is, and the last is, I think, Russia. From Vladivostok to Pyongyang, you have electricity connection and you feed the North Korea, right? By
Unfortunately, I don't see a problem with our. Please repeat your question.
Okay. Now, the North Korea has just two suppliers, energy suppliers, provider, actually. One is China, the second is Russia. Over Vladivostok, you have electricity transmitting facilities to North Korea. It's very important. You are the second energy supplier.
Okay. Now we need cooperation with all countries because Russian Federation now realization project with Mongolia and China, and we have possibility for help our countries, because need in energy in any time very difficult, and Russian receive energy resources Mongolia receive Russian resources, and Chinese receive Mongolia and Russian resources. North and South Korea is difficult problem. We the next week discuss with Mongolia and North and South Korea problem for energy cooperation, and Korea want realization this project. One of the good piece propose South and South and North Korea. Korea need big energy resources, and North Korea understands this problem, and he won't receive this problem with South Korea. Because this problem was a realization in almost, we have possibility realization project with Japan, Sakhalin and Honshu, and Sakhalin Hokkaido.
Thank you very much, dear professor. And the next presentation from Turkish Republic of Cyprus by Humayun Pasha Safavi. Yes, dear Professor Humayun.
Hello, everybody. Before I start my presentation, I have to tell you a story that you will understand the whole concept. Recently, I just resigned from one university and just find another job in another university. During the moment, I realized that something is suddenly happening inside the organization environment because of unfavorable messages that I received. Then I realized that something suddenly happened to me. I call it somehow a turtle strategy, that you just isolate yourself from everybody. So I just somehow developed a concept that I call it solitary oriented behavior. So in this study, I use this concept. So I will share my slides with you. So this study specifically, I'm going to talk about the association between job insecurity, work-related depression and anger with the mediation effect of solitary oriented behavior. We did this investigation with my colleagues, as you see, Mona Buzari. Also, she's my wife. Right now, she's entertaining my daughter. That's why she couldn't join the conversation. So, the presentation outline, I will start from introduction, purpose of the study, hypothesis development, methodology, result, conclusion, implication, contribution, and suggestion. Specifically because of COVID, lots of changes happened in the market, and specifically in case of tourism and hospitality. These sectors suffered a huge dropout regarding to number of tourists, number of income, their contribution to GDP, variety of things because of COVID happened to this industry. So one of the things that suddenly happened that you see, it's about the occupancy rate that suddenly dropped. Lots of organizations, because of downsizing, because of the problem that they face, they somehow try to reduce the number of staff inside the organization. So hotel industry experienced an employee shock earlier than other industry, with the sharp drop of number of employees and dramatic rise in the number of temporary leave. So the messages that organization nowadays they are sending is a concept of job insecurity, which is defined as a subjective perception of being threatened by job loss. There are different approaches to define job insecurity that distinguish between the objective or subjective job insecurity or cognitive or affective. So job insecurity as a cognitive job security and job as affective, both of them they have somehow the same impact on the staff. So the other concept is solitary oriented behavior, which is a tendency to act individually without associating a response to unfavorable signal received from organization or colleagues. So solitary oriented behavior per se is not a negative outcome. It's a period of time that staff try to interpret the information that they're receiving from the organization, or somehow I can say they try to digest this information. This behavior would happen while employee receive unfavorable message from the people who are in charge. It will take time to analyze the message and try to digest the information. So this period of time, it's not something suddenly after you receive, for example, a job insecurity, you try to find a job, this thing. This process, it will take time that employee will show up somehow a different behavior when you compare it to the previous behaviors. So work-related depression and anger. Depression signifies the prolonged negative feeling, inability to concentrate or function normally, and other related dispositionally. And anger refer to emotional condition which include feeling of aggressive, impatient, or frustration. So the purpose of this study is to investigate the mechanism through which job insecurity would lead to mentioned negative outcome by mediation effect of solitary oriented behavior. So I will show you the model. As you see, the job insecurity in this study is an independent variable. Work-related depression and anger, they are outcome, and solitary, it is acting as a mediator. So these are the hypotheses that already I mentioned for you. So there is a significant relationship between job insecurity and solitary oriented behavior. There is a significant relationship between solitary oriented behavior and work related depression and anger, and the mediation effect of solitary oriented behavior, somehow full mediation in this relationship. So the methodology, we investigate by a qualitative method. We apply judgmental sampling, 203 frontline employees in Iran. They just participate in this study. We applied back translation method and pilot study. I share you about the measurement for job insecurity, solitary-oriented behavior, work-related depression, and anger. So we use different kind of scales that somehow reduce the bias in this study. So for result of confirmatory factor analysis, we applied LISR 8.3. 6 item was discarded because of the low loading or somehow overloaded with other construct. So as you see, chi-square, degree of freedom, CFI, NFI, as I reported. So the construct load range between 0.60 to 0.83. The average volume extracted range was between 0.79 to 0.99. Composite reliability was between 0.81 to 0.93. And the shared value among pair of the construct were not higher than the average volume extracted. So based on this evidence, we can claim that this study has convergent and discriminant validity. So this model show the mean standard deviation and correlation. So as you see, there is somehow a significant relationship between all the construct. The mean standard deviation and quorum alpha has been presented also in this paper, in this table. So this is the overall results regarding to mediation and relationship between the construct. So as you see, job insecurity significantly related to solitary-oriented behavior. Solitary-oriented behavior is significantly related to work-related depression and anger. And solitary-oriented behavior is acting as a full mediation. Solitary-oriented behavior fully mediate the relationship between job insecurity and aforementioned outcome. So in this study, we propose that empirically test the association between job insecurity, solitary-oriented behavior, and mentioned outcome among frontline hotel employees in Iran. We applied job demand resource theory that we suggested that solitary-oriented behavior mediate the aforementioned relationship. All the relationships were supported, and the research finding proposed important insight concerning the outcome of job insecurity and solitary-oriented behavior. These are our implications. For practical, we have to say we have to eliminate the sense of job insecurity. Nowadays, employees should feel safer in order to do the things that they have to do. They have to pay utmost attention to their employee behavior, because the moment the employee will receive the unfavorable messages, the action, the act, the behavior will be completely different from the normal situation till they try to analyze, try to interpret, and make a final decision regarding to the organization. And we have to increase involvement and participation to somehow control the employee in case of solitary-oriented behavior or reduce the concept of job insecurity. For theoretical, we have to examine the other consequences of job insecurity inside the organization, and we have to investigate other probable outcomes of solitary-oriented behavior like sabotage, counterproductive behavior, and extra things. For limitation, I can say that we only use one single source of data, so it is better to investigate variety of sectors. We investigate we just apply one single source of data, which was employee. It's better to, in order to understand, in order to somehow control the effect of common method bias. It's better to involve supervisor too, and we have to investigate both type of job insecurity regarding to cognitive and affective. So this is my presentation. I am at your service for any question, anything.
Thank you.
You are most welcome.
I want some question for you. You
Sure.
have an interesting report. How the pandemic COVID-19 realization in Kipro, are you see increasing in employment in 2020, and is there any help from the European Union in context of the pandemic?
Thank you so much for your question. First, about the developing the construct, it was around 350.
Thank you for your study. I think it is important, and we know that most of the hotels downsize employees.
Yes.
They had employees, many employees they fired from their jobs because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And your study, okay, is about the staff who are remaining and working in hotels, because the ones who left the hotels, that's it, they left. But the ones who are in the hotels, they feel that they are threatened. Yes. because they fear from getting fear from the messages that the organization send, the
Exactly.
hotels send to them. Okay, so they may get kicked off of the job anytime. Okay, so they are not satisfied and they are not happy. So this will have an effect on their performance.
Definitely.
Yes. So I don't know. I would like to tell me what are the steps that we should take to decrease or at least mitigate the fairness of the current employees, in order to improve the job performance in hotels.
Thank you so much. I did another investigation and I presented in another conference regarding to COVID. The title was COVID, a game changer in tourism industry. We interviewed around 30 something students that were going to graduate from tourism industry, whether they want to continue their career in tourism industry. Unfortunately, 100% they are not interested to continue this kind of thing regarding to tourism, because they afraid of the condition, because of lots of misconnection, no collaboration. There was no specific training regarding to personal hygiene, these things. So in case of employee that right now exists in the organization, you can see, I saw that the extra things that they have to do right now, it doesn't exist. They only follow job description and the contract that they have between these two parties based on a contract. They only doing the things that they have to do. So about extra role, about creativity, about variety of different things that they were supposed to do, this kind of thing. Nowadays, they only care about somehow keep their distance from the people who are inside the hotel because they are not certain about the result of this kind of COVID, because you know that there are some percentages of bias within this examination. So they are so worried about this kind of condition, and working with the mask, with the shield, this kind of thing, it's become really problematic for them because they cannot perform. Tourism industry, if we have to consider tourism industry somehow in a special industry when we compare it to other industry, because for education right now most of the university they go to online platform. For organization, for other sector industry, they are using machinery, this thing. But specifically in case of tourism, there is no way that we can eliminate human beings as a staff, and we cannot find any substitute for them. It is impossible. Voice to voice, face to face. So if the people are afraid, these staff, they are so afraid about the people who are facing. And lots of these hotel, they change it to some place that this is not anymore a hotel right now. This can become a quarantine section for people who wants to come to Cyprus. They have to go to hotel. They have to wait there for 14 days. So these staff, they try to minimize, because lots of them, they are my students. They try to minimize their direct contact with the customer, consumer, anyone, as much as possible. So this is the situation at this moment. If
Yes.
hopefully this vaccine just become epidemic and everybody use it and we'll be back to our normal life.
Yes, hopefully, yes. Okay, hopefully.
You're most welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
You're most
Thank you very much, dear Professor.
welcome.
Now, our last speaker is Professor Mirna. Thank you very much for your patience. Yeah, from Philippines. Your microphone is turned off now.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yes. I'm having a grand time listening to everybody,
Thank you very much.
especially with the last one. With the last one, finally, I have a term to describe the behavior of somebody I know who withdrew from almost everything after she failed in her job. And thank you very much about that study, Professor Humayo. So now is my chance to present my research, which is entitled Training Ship Acquisition, Operation and Maintenance: The Philippine Experience. And um, if I may be allowed to share now, there you go. And wait a minute, please. There you go. So this study was conducted with a partner who is the training director of the training center of the Maritime Academy of Asia and the Pacific of Mariveles, Bataan in the Philippines. And why did we think of this kind of a study? Here is the background. Um, there are actually 95 accredited maritime educational institutions and 95 maritime training centers in the Philippines, and that is as of 2016, so 4 years ago. And in the same year, a total of 124,438 enrollees were recorded by our Commission on Higher Education for the two programs on maritime transportation and the marine engineering program. However, as you can see, there are only 5,101, and that's roughly 20% of the total graduates for each year who complete the program. And why is that so? It is because they failed to graduate because of the lack of shipboard training berths. No chance for shipboard training. And that results to an approximately 103,770 waiting for their chance for shipboard training for the past 3 years. So, which means that the number of supposedly graduates who fail to graduate because of the lack of training ship chances uh, accumulates. And most probably, according to date, although we do not have as of this moment the exact number, it has gone up to around 200 um, s- cadets who are waiting for the chance for shipboard training. So, so you can see in the Philippines, in 2004, we are the biggest supplier of seafarers. So we supply 41.5% of the seafarers worldwide, and we you can find Filipinos in almost shipping lines sailing the seven seas. China only supplied 5.2%. That was in 2004. Now we have the data. 2015, China, the Philippines, and Russia are now on equal rank as the leading supply countries. Okay, although here's the remittances. So this is the industry's contribution to the country's revenue. So from 4.4 billion US dollars in 2011, it's now 5.575 billion US dollars in 2015. As of this writing, that this was actually conducted 2018. There are only two maritime institutions who operate a training ship. One is our own academy, and there's another one from Zamboanga down south. Uh, so only two. And the government maritime training institutions once operated training ships, no longer in the present. Now, we have 30,864 vessels registered with our Maritime Industry Authority as of 2016. 54% of these are fishing vessels and therefore cannot be used as a training ship. And then we have 3,927 that are registered with a gross tonnage of 497.26, not allowed according to the uh, STCW, not allowed to accept training ships. Only those although only those vessels with 500 gross tonnage are allowed to accept um, trainees for seafaring. So, uh, here's the situation of other countries. Some states in the USA operating a maritime school, they also operate a training ship. And Professor Bin, here, your government operates at least 5 training ships for both deck and engine cadets from Japan and other ASEAN countries through its National Institute of Sea Training under the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, and Transport. And our academy is one of the beneficiaries. So we have one department in our academy, which is sponsored by the IMJ of Japan. So why can't the Philippine government procure a ship to help the would-be graduates of maritime programs? And so here's the study to determine the factors which led to the success or failure of maritime training institutions in the acquisition, maintenance, and subsequent operation of a training ship for their own cadets. So, um, okay. I utilize a case study method using in-depth structured interviews. And there were 2 respondents coming from 2 government owned maritime institutions and then 5 privately owned maritime institutions. So all these respondents once or are presently operating a training ship. And what are the findings of the study? Um, in terms of the amount when these training ships were procured, the government procured a training ship through a loan from the Danish government in 1983, amounting to 2.61 billion in pesos. However, it was sold after 8 years of operation, and I'm going to tell you later why that happened. The privately owned ships ranging from 18 to 25 years old when procured cost 20 million to 20 to 45 million, and these are still there, these were still in operation. So what did they do to survive? The privately owned training ships charge fees for training, for shipboard training. They also conducted on-the-job training for HRM and tourism students, and they also held special tours and functions. On the other hand, the government ship still on operation, in open and closed quotation marks, was both stationary as a laboratory ship for seamanship, for engineering and ship familiarization. So it actually became literally a training ship, uh, but no longer a functioning as a ship, considering the other functions that the ship should be performing. More, the average cost of annual operation for the government ship was 1.6 million dollars. That's equivalent to 81 million in Philippine peso annually. And for the greater part, it was allotted for maintenance and other operating expenses. Now, for the privately owned training ships, the annual operating cost was 8.06. Of course, they had some justification to that. The privately owned training ships were smaller, etc. Anyway, so what were the problems encountered by the government-owned training ships that led to the failure? One is an insufficient and a deficient feasibility study. A feasibility study was conducted, all right. However, uh, this feasibility study was conducted just for the sake of complying with the requirement of the lending country, the lending institution, to submit a feasibility study. Next, there was interference of political figures in terms of where the ship should be assigned. So instead of that was supposed to be for the Subic Bay, but however it was brought to Tacloban, a city in the south, in the Visayas, and the people to run the ship were politically appointed, not considering their qualifications. Okay, and then there was a recession in the global freight market, which added to the failure. There were also natural and man-made disasters, and then uh, the ship repairs and maintenance were no longer done because of financial constraints. Then diversion, there was a diversion from the original objective of the ship acquisition. The government ship, the brand new government ship, was supposed to be a training ship for officials of the seafaring industry. Plus, it was supposed to be a cargo ship. So there is the training function, and there's supposed to be the business function of the ship. However, that did not materialize. And that is because of the lack of expertise on the part of the people assigned to run the ship in the ship's technical, commercial, and operational activities, being political appointees. There was financial mismanagement and irregularities, and there was also the failure to attract and retain qualified instructors on board ships. Private international shipping companies offered higher salaries than the government ship. The next, there was discontentment among the crew, which actually led to a mutiny uh, in that brand new ship. Uh, then, because of these findings, here now are the recommendations of the researchers of the study. Uh, yeah, we still recommend that the Philippine government procure a training ship in support of the private maritime training institutions offering the program, but cannot afford to buy a training ship. Uh, but that should be after a thorough feasibility study has been conducted, and in order for this to be done, we propose that a team for the feasibility study be commissioned, composed of a ship financial management expert, a ship operational and technical management expert, and a ship marketing expert. And that the identification of the members of the team should be upon the recommendation of prestigious maritime institutions and seamen's organizations. We have several seafarers organization. I know of 3, and so we recommend that these maritime organizations recommend in return the members of the team. And then we also recommend a review of Philippine registered cargo vessels, the privately owned cargo vessels. I mentioned earlier that there is almost 4,000 private vessels with a gross tonnage of 497.5. And although there was no follow up to that, uh, it was revealed by one of the respondents that that is the practice of ship owners, the vessel owners, in order to shield themselves from higher registration fees. So instead of revealing the exact gross tonnage of their ship, they um, put it at a lower gross tonnage. So they do not qualify to accept trainees. But however, they also are exempted or spared from higher taxes. Then we recommend that Marina, or Maritime Industry Authority, initiate all possible means of partnership with international shipping companies to accommodate the maximum number of cadets for shipboard training, and regulate also the collection of a shipboard training fee, which to the ordinary Filipino is just too high. Then that's it. So we have 3 recommendations, and thank you very much for listening. I'm ready for your questions. So it's a sad state for the Philippine maritime industry in the Philippines.
Yes, but the recommendations that you presented are good, are very good.
Thank you very much.
Presentation is good. Yes, yes. I agree with your recommendations.
Dear Professor Marina, thank you very much for your presentation. And dear Professor Igor, do you have any word to say?
I like to ask a
No,
question. Like right now, you
Yes,
said that
please.
you don't have a ship for training. So what are you doing without a ship?
Um, the Maritime Academy of the Asian the Pacific accepts scholars, and these scholars are sponsored by
Three.
Japan. So our graduates, our cadets are assured of shipboard training because of Image from Japan. I am actually referring to uh, the 93 maritime institutions, and these are privately owned, and these do not have training ships. And they actually um, enter into a contract with private um, private shipping vessels for the shipboard training. But however, these are not enough, and that is why we thought of the possibility of looking into the almost 4,000 private shipping vessels with 497 point something gross tonnage. Maybe if they can accommodate at least five, and 5 times 4,000 would be a great help for the um, prospective graduates of the maritime programs.
So how long is the training? Like the actual training with the ship?
Sometimes it runs from about 6 months to 1 year, depending on where the ship is flying. Sometimes they have to stay there for a longer period of time before they can disembark, because they have to wait for the ship to come back to the Philippines, or to come back from the port of origin. Okay, although they already have consumed certain number of months for the training they stay, or sometimes they stay at a lesser number of months, depending again on when the shipping vessel would come back to the port of origin. Yeah.
So after they graduated from the academy, where they will go to?
The graduates of we have two um, maritime institutions in the Philippines. One owned by the government, and that's PMMA. That's where Dr. Mobo is working with, and our union owned uh, call this Seafarer Union owned Maritime Academy of the Philippines. These are also sponsored by shipping industries. So they go to the academy for free training, sponsored by the shipping industries, and after graduation, they are absorbed by these shipping industries. So lucky for those who graduated from the Philippine Merchant Marine Academy and the Maritime Academy of the Philippines. They are assured of shipboard training, and they are assured of employment after graduation, but not for the graduates of the 9 to 3 maritime institutions, because they do not own training ships and they do not have their sponsors coming from the shipping industry.
So I think your students are very lucky, but they must have to compete fiercely with one another to get a place at the academy and the other institution.
Yeah, every year we have the placement test, and thousands come, thousands, I mean thousands, but around 200 to 400 only are accommodated, and they come from all over the Philippines.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
By the way, our conference chair is Dr. Froilan Mobo, now with us. Dear Professor Mobo, are you hearing us? I think he is not hearing. Perhaps he wants to say a last word about conference and session. Dear Froilan Mobo, are you hearing me? No. Okay, dear participants, thank you very much for your contribution, for your presentation, and for your participation to Asia Pacific Conference. I am greeting you from Turkey, but on behalf of Philippines, of course. Thank you very much. Now we are saving the conference, and I think the next week the conference proceeding will be published. And when it will be published, you will have probably email about it, and you can download it from website. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. I'm closing.
Bye. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Professor.
Nice to meet you.
Thank
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye
Bye bye.
bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mustafa Hocam sizin hala videonuz kayıt alıyor.
Hocam tamam, hemen durduruyorum.